I think I definitely had to learn though to listen more and talk less.
Mm.
Um, I'm grateful that I, to this day, still have a amazing example of marriage with my parents, and that was one thing I remember. A piece of advice my mom gave me, because my dad is similar. Like he doesn't talk as near as much as my mom does. So definitely have that in common. And that was one thing she was really encouraging me to do. Like people never open up more by being pressured or bullied.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah.
That only makes them shut down more. And what's so
Mhm.
interesting, I know I mentioned earlier, my line of work, when it comes to being a parenting coach. And if anybody who knows me or follows me knows that I'm in love with the concept of gentle and conscious parenting. And one thing I say is that I'm not just growing to be a more conscious parenting. Being a conscious parenting makes me a more conscious wife also.
Mm,
Mhm.
I
That's
can't be
good.
treating my kids with respect, you know what I'm saying, and honoring their voice and their autonomy and all it is, but then having an attitude with my husband because he don't want to speak.
Mhm.
I gotta show
Mhm.
him baby. It starts with him, right? And so
yeah.
Yeah.
understanding that, and I had to literally learn how to. And that's one thing I tell parents: like, kids don't need a lecture. They want to
Yeah.
be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be understood. They want to feel valued. I have to do that same thing with my husband.
Welcome to the Labor of Love podcast with your host, coach, speaker, and pastor, Andre Ashford, alongside his co-host, licensed therapist and speaker, Amber Ashford.
Welcome to the Labor Love podcast. We are back, and we have a special treat tonight. We have two of the most beautiful, genuine, kind, gifted people on the planet. The only thing wrong with them is they won't move to South Carolina with us. That's the only thing wrong.
I had a
Uh,
dream though.
you have
I
oh,
had a dream that I was asking them if they were gonna move next door to us. So I don't know.
okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Dreams do come true. So we gonna believe God
Yeah,
that
yeah,
He
yeah.
makes some major moves. Y'all, look, we gonna let them introduce themselves. We just gonna tell y'all that this has been a pod that we have been eager to record. Two of our favorite people that I am kind of new to, but my wife has known for a while. But I feel like we've been knowing each other since sixth grade. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to others Kart and Elyse Jones.
Yeah.
What's up, good people?
What's up?
What's
Hey.
going on?
How y'all doing?
Cool. So who are Cart and Elise Jones?
The Joneses.
So we are the Joneses. uh, I'm Cart. Well, my name is Carlton, but please call me Cart. My name is
Hey.
Carlton, and this is my wife, Elise.
Hello.
We're in South Haven, Mississippi. We parent two beautiful children, Gracie and KJ. Gracie is 5. KJ, he'll be 3 on
This
Sunday.
weekend.
Yeah. So
Oh
yeah. So there's I call them my two piece in a biscuit.
Who the
So
biscuit, that?
wow,
yeah. Right.
the only dude. You know what I'm saying?
Tell me something,
The only dude. Yeah.
I thought you was the biscuit in me. Oh my
Me
God.
too. Biscuit.
Nobody want no dry biscuit.
Okay. Yeah, man. Thank you for having us, though. For real, this
Yes,
is good.
yes.
Man, it's an honor, man. It's an honor and a privilege to have you guys on the podcast. This is our first official season, and what better way to get some traction than to have superstars on your channel?
Oh
Huh?
man.
Huh? So
Viral.
so in the vein of superstardom, uh, Dr. Elise Jones.
Anybody?
Can you tell? It's prophetic? Can you
Yeah.
tell the people a little bit about what you do and who you are?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like Car said, thank you guys for having us. Super
Mhm.
honored to be here. But like Andre said, I am Elise Jones. wife of Kart Jones, but I'm also a certified parenting coach and a licensed mental health professional. And so, as far as what I do as a certified parenting coach, I'm really all about empowering parents and villagers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, any family servant organization with the tools to really shift from control to connection. I wholeheartedly believe peace on earth begins at home. And so my hard work, my passion is really equipping families with the tools to interrupt those generational patterns that we often call tradition, but it's actually trauma.
Woo, that's a lot to unpack. That's a lot to unpack. Y'all need to hit her up. She has been globe trotting, and she has. I think I just saw you had a new partnership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that sign.
Yeah, I need to get the little sound maker. Yeah. Cool, cool.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So, you two have been work besties turned besties for real. So can y'all just give a little? Can you just give a little spiel, one of y'all, on like how y'all met and how we came to have this wonderful relationship?
Sheesh, let me see.
Way back.
Right. When that was like, I think it was 2017. I think. Oh, I had just started. No, I was in my second year of grad school, and I had just started working at our old job.
Whom should not be mentioned.
Who should not be
Rest in peace. I wish I had to.
I intentionally did not name them. Okay, I wasn't even trying to be petty. I was just okay, but yeah. So this was actually my supervisor as an intern. But she also was going on maternity leave because she was pregnant with Kay. So I knew you with both babies. Oh! So yeah, and literally over the years, we ended up I ended up getting hired on that following year. I think we shared an office a couple of years, and we just got locked in. And we just didn't switch up. That's all I got. We've been doing life together ever since.
Cool.
I love it.
Cool. So yeah, there's been a lot of fruit come from that seed that was planted all those years ago, 20 years ago.
Might feel like it for real. Feel like it. All our life.
Speaking of knowing each other our whole life, I want to talk about how you two met. Speaking of 20 years, y'all just had your 20-year anniversary, didn't you?
Come on, yeah.
Basically.
Man, but basically. And we're still honeymooning, Doc. Come on. Lord God.
Yeah.
But nah, I guess to be honest.
Wait, clarify. He just said 20 years. We just celebrated 7 years
Yeah,
of marriage.
7.
Like, 20 years.
Right. I got married when I was 16. Now I'm just playing. But so when Elyse first moved to Memphis, I didn't realize it at the time, but so I was a worship leader at the church, and I guess you said that was the second stop.
So let's take it back a second.
Okay.
I'm originally from Missouri.
Yep, there we go.
And so when I finished grad school, I just had, kid you not, like mother can attest to this, my parents, both of them can tell this. I just felt this yearning for Tennessee, y'all. Like, I'm like, I'm supposed to be in Tennessee. Everyone's like, why are you moving to Tennessee? I was like, I don't know, but I'm supposed to be in Tennessee. I started applying to jobs. Y'all remember when St. Jude used to have that? You can buy a ticket for like the St. Jude big mansion they build. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
You know about that?
Yeah.
Amber, you should know.
Yeah.
You don't know about that? Okay, don't worry about it. But St. Jude, they used to build this like huge, beautiful house and like sell tickets like for raffles for like $100 and some. And I was like, I bought me some raffle tickets, for that huge house. Like, I'm gonna be in Memphis. I'm probably gonna win this house. I ain't win the house. But I did come on to Memphis. Was just applying to jobs and ended up here. So fast forward, I was looking for a church home. That was super important to me. When I moved here, I was looking for a church home. Went to a church, and saw Kart. I was like, who is that brother? But I saw Kart, but ironically, we did not officially meet at church.
Yeah, we didn't. So it's kind of funny because I saw her. I was like, man, who that girl over there? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I started kind of asking people, you know, because she came a few Sundays. I'm like, who is that? You know, you get to know her? They're like, yeah. But it was kind of funny because a lot of people, they was like, hey, you dating somebody? I was like, yeah. And they was like, oh, because I got somebody that I want you to meet. And I guess they're saying the same thing to you, right? Or maybe not. But anyway. But yeah, so but later on I found out that they wanted to introduce me to was Elyse. And one of the church members actually she had a birthday party. So at the birthday party, I got a buddy of mine that's a saxophone player, so he came to come serenade the young lady at her birthday party, and Elyse was there. So that was the first time that we actually got a chance to, you know, converse with each other. So during that time, it was kind of funny though, because when I met her, I was like, man, so like, let me get your number so I can talk to you sometime. She was like, so what you want to talk to me about? You know, I'm like, well, maybe we can go out.
I needed to know what you want my number for.
We can go out, you know, listen to a band, you know, catch dinner or something sometime. Yeah, I kid you not. Oh, girl handed me a card, a business card. She was like, okay, well, yeah, you can call me. I'm like, a business card. So I was like, I won't be using this number, you know what I'm saying?
He kept it, and I had a Facebook request the next morning.
I did keep it, as you can see.
Yeah. I heard that story too, Doc. I heard this story. Boy, I got so tickled.
I don't understand why he was offended. I'm like, your number is on the business card, right? It's just convenient.
Yeah, but we ain't doing business, though. I mean, like I'm a client. No,
I feel you, man.
But nah, that's how we met. Yeah, that's how we met.
Cool. So I want to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
Who approached who?
I approached Elyse.
Okay, that's the way y'all both see it.
Yeah.
Okay. What was our first date?
That is so fun. I kid you not, like before y'all even asked us to do this, we was talking. I was like, what was our first date? And I don't know our first one-on-one date. But we had a group date, our very first date. Now I do remember that. I do not recall our first one-on-one date. So I was really big on like accountability, you know what I'm saying, and you know, boundaries, all of that. And our first date, it was a group date, really with him and some of his friends and me. But I don't think I verbalized I wasn't going anywhere by myself with you, but it was just convenient that we all went out together.
Well, that's kind of funny that we say that. I'm glad we get into this conversation. I'm very glad because she realized that she wasn't going out with nobody by herself. Mm-hmm. But me, I didn't know if I was gonna like her. So I'm like, hey y'all, come on, man, let's go, come dinner with me. You know what I'm saying? So it don't feel like a date. You know what I'm saying?
But tell the people what you said when we left that night. Yeah, listen to what he said about me after that first. Go ahead, tell her.
I can't holler at her.
Why?
I'm like, she too opinionated.
He said I talk too much. Yeah. And I was too opinionated.
Yeah, so I was like, nah, I'm good. And one of my partners, he was like, yeah, I feel you, bro. Well, like, bro, she wasn't trying to holler at you, know it. But you know, look, yeah. So that's how we got. That's how it all started.
Oh, but look at you now.
Yeah, look, my opinion on everything.
What is it? What the devil meant for bad? God meant for good.
Yeah. And the rest has been history.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know because again, Kart, I do this story too. What made y'all choose each other? Because you know you had all these issues, Doc, but here y'all are married to bliss 7 years later.
Now you ain't gotta say all these issues. He said one thing.
No, he said a lot. Now he said he liked the card. She too opinionated.
Talk too much.
No. No, but seriously, like, what made y'all choose each other? What was it that made y'all say, okay, this, I can really see this going somewhere?
So for me, when we first started, because one thing I can say, me and Carl like really built a solid friendship. So actually, when I first met him, he was in a relationship, and you know that was 100% respected and really allowed the space for us to build a solid friendship. But I remember when that relationship he was in was over, and I was just super curious to like know, like, you know, what happened? What happened to your friend? And what he said, like, it really stood out to me. So he was sharing how he was at his girlfriend's house, at her family house, and something was said. Her grandmother said something, and when her grandmother turned around, the young lady flipped her grandmother off. And she laughed about it. Her mom laughed about it. He was like, and it was in that moment, I knew there was somebody I could not build a future with. That stood out to me in a major way. He was like, he literally was thinking like, this is somebody I could not have. Like, nothing about that, it was funny to him. And to even have, you know, her think that was appropriate, to have the mom laughing, and he was like, this is not a family I can see myself integrating with. You know, they have been dating for a while, and that spoke volumes to me about like his level of integrity to like, and you know, there's the things that he values. It was like, okay, like, and that just really was another testament to that character trait I was already seeing in him. But that spoke volumes that he literally cut it off with her. After that, he was like, no, like, I can't see a future in this. But that really spoke to me.
That's so dope.
Wow. That speaks volumes, man.
Yeah, it does.
Because it's easy to get complacent. Even know this person is not good for your future or for your health. You stick around because it's comfortable, or it's because it's something to do when there's nothing to do. But a man that's ready to step up and be a man that's ready to make commitment, a man that's ready to date on purpose and love on purpose and live in purpose, a man be like, hey, look, and nah, I can't see that going nowhere, so it's gonna stop right here.
Man, but I'm gonna be honest, and all that you are saying, in conjunction to that, I'm not 100% sure that I was all the way ready for that. I knew that what she was giving, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
So go ahead.
No, please.
No. So what I'm hearing from you is you didn't necessarily know you was ready for the big commitment, but you knew you weren't gonna commit to that.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And the thing about it, I didn't date Elyse for a long time on purpose, because everything about her, I knew that if I dated her, I was gonna marry her. And I like, for real. So in my time, I wasn't ready to be married. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just so I'm like, man, like, I'm a run. You know what I'm saying? I'm a run for as long as I could, and and I say to this day that was still a God thing. And I say it was a God thing because when me and Elyse, we actually talked about it, her words to me was, you just don't understand that, like, when you broke that one off, like, that was the last straw that I had with you two. So she was almost like, okay, yeah, if you gonna keep dating and calling me friend and dating and calling me friend, I ain't finna play them games either. So
it was very clear. Like, again, we had a very solid friendship. Like, you know how people say, like, friends on people. Like, no, we was super. Don't get me wrong, I thought he was fine, but it was like we are solid friends. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, people like we were like talking like, no, like, we legit good friends. But that did start to grow for me, and it was like, okay, like, if you not like, I know where my heart is now, right? And so if you not there, like, we don't even need to be friends, because like I'm not about to play myself like that, because I am, you know, growing feelings and at another level outside of friendship for you. And if you're not ready for that, that's fine. I respect that. But we can't be mingling.
That's so good. That is so good. And so I know you said it was a God thing, and Elyse shared with us that one of the things that made her say, yeah, is just seeing how you were intentional about, cutting off our girl who really didn't have respect for her family. What made you choose Elyse? Because I know it's a God thing, but you was obedient to that too, though. And you said everything about her was like, oh yeah, I married this girl because I was in y'all wedding and everything. So no, I'm just teasing.
You was the flower girl.
Flower girl, yeah. I was.
But now, like, it was like she said, man, she was banging. You know what I'm saying? She fine as a mug. That's the first thing I noticed. Folks, disclaimer. Folks say looks ain't everything.
Come on, Deacon. Preach your lesson.
Don't you ever say looks might not be everything, but it shows 75%.
That was 75.
Yeah, that's a little high.
It's a strong 60.
Not in y'all case. Not in y'all case.
It's a strong 60 though. But nah, for real though. I mean, because when you see a person, you're not going to pursue them if you're not attracted to them.
That's real. So
you say looks ain't everything. You ain't gonna pursue nobody that you ain't attracted to. So my girl look good. Do you hear me? I'm saying,
yeah.
Like she caught my attention. But the other thing, the other thing that was that was so sexy. I'm gonna use that word. Was the fact that like she was real about her relationship with God. Like that was sexy. Like for real.
Yeah.
I mean, because I have, out of all the dating that I've done, it's I go to church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I go to church.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you feel like you've done your due diligence because you go to church, like you missed it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you totally missed it. But like her heart for God and her heart for worship and her sincerity behind all of that, like, man, like that was a stamp. It's like, yeah, that's the woman that I should pursue. But right now I don't want to pursue her. But that's the one I need to be trying to pursue. Yeah,
so basically she was just weighing you down.
Man, weighing me down.
It's interesting that you mentioned the physical attraction piece. I think the church has done a lot of good things, but I think the church in general has failed to really touch on that physical attraction with the right light. Because they'll say, oh, they need to be spiritual. Oh, they need to have values. Oh, they need to have something going on. And at the same time, Bishop, they need to look good.
They need to look good.
Hey, they need to look. I got a Bible for it. If you go to Genesis 24, Abraham is looking for a wife for his son Isaac.
Come on, brother.
And so, of course, we know they had arranged marriages, so it wasn't dating involved. But Abraham had sense enough to tell the person that's going to look for his son or wife that she must be very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come on in here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. That's the first qualification. Very beautiful.
Yep.
The second thing said she was a virgin, which means she has some kind of moral standard.
Yep.
And then the last thing said she filled her own jar daily. Oh my God, I feel like preaching in this place.
Like real.
So okay, of course she got to have values. Of course she got to be taking care of herself. But the first thing Abraham said, since I'm a father of many nations, I need my nations to look good. So we got to stop being so spiritually spooky.
That's real.
Saying that looks ain't everything. They gotta look good to you.
That's it to you.
Man.
Look, I ain't even charging for this. Y'all getting this for free.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. You said a mouthful when you said to you.
Man,
they gotta look good to you.
Yeah, brother, because some look good. but look good to others.
Deacon.
I'm gonna let that thing alone, bro. But you know what I'm saying.
The saying is, there's somebody for everybody.
It is somebody for everybody.
But my somebody got to look good to me.
Hey, and everybody ain't for everybody. Nah, man, that's good though. Nah, that's
Yeah.
That's real.
So with that being said, because now y'all done got to a place y'all know why, right? So now y'all have decided to take the next leap. How long did y'all date, by the way, before y'all decided to get married?
Really dated for like a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't long at all.
Okay. So now that y'all have been married for 7 years, got 2 beautiful babies, curious to know, since y'all have been together, what has been the biggest challenge when it, like, as it relates to just the joining together of 2 different worlds? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know y'all saw that there were some similar values and beliefs, but y'all still came from 2 totally different backgrounds, right? So what has that been like, just coming together and navigating that?
Man, before we answer this question, because you just said something, man, I don't care how, like you said, Dre, I don't care how spiritual you are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like people, like the Holy Spirit can be flowing through both of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
If it ain't no compatibility,
Sheesh.
you got so many people out here
Mm-hmm.
that love the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm talking about, I often say, man, devout. I mean, like Bible belief. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really walking with Jesus, and they don't understand why their marriage don't work.
Mm.
I mean,
Come on.
Because like compatibility is a thing too.
That's real.
So, yeah.
So what would you say compatibility is?
I mean, you got to be able to connect, like the things that make you laugh. You know, like outside of. I mean, because like, man, we could Bible study all day.
Boy, look.
Man, can we hold healthy dialogue? Can we hold healthy conversation? Like
on a day-to-day
things.
Yeah.
Like how do you handle issues? You know, do you have what you have? Like, can you make her laugh? Or is she sitting there all day because y'all ain't got nothing in common?
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
You know what I just heard when you were saying that?
What's that?
One of the reasons marriages struggle in general, but a lot of Christian marriages struggle, is because people want to marry prayer partners and not purpose partners.
Come on, for real. Man.
Hey, I can have Bible study with anybody.
That's real.
Look, we can have a prayer call with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know if I could trust you with my innermost secrets. I need to know if you could be a sapiosexual with me. Can you make love to my mind?
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Can you speak to me in a way that's more intimate and more deep than just on a spiritual level? We know spiritual come first, but when you get past the spiritual, can you touch me in my physical? Can you touch me in my emotional and my mental, psychological? Can you connect to me in a deeper way?
That's real. That made me think of something you said recently. I can't remember what we were talking about, but he was saying that he's just not convinced that God just sits somebody down and say, that's the one for you. That's your wife, that's your husband. He was like, now God, and I never heard it said this way. And I was like, that is good. He was saying, now God could say, you see that person, they have qualities that you should look for in a wife or a husband. But people see quality and say that must be the one. It's like, no, take notes of the certain things they possess, certain qualities, certain characteristics. Take note of that and look for that, but that doesn't mean because they have these qualities. Oh, that's the one. God sent this person to me. I got to marry this person. Like, no, like, it doesn't work like that. I appreciate how you said that.
The Bible says he who finds himself a wife.
Yeah.
You gotta find yourself. When you find yourself a wife, he who finds himself a wife,
You find
find,
someone who finds a
yeah,
good thing.
yeah, finds a good thing, and
That's
it
your
finds
help.
from God. Yeah,
Right.
right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, it, people might argue me on this.
Mhm.
Man, God sent me that wife, brother. You found that wife, brother. You
Yeah.
gotta find your wife. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, that's what. And I'll never forget. I was asked, "Why do you feel like Elyse? Why do you feel like you want to marry Elyse?" Like, because I made the choice.
Mm.
It's because I made the choice that I want to marry Elyse, and because I made that choice, God is going to honor my choice, and He's going to honor my covenant, and He's going
Bless
to
the
put
marriage.
favor on our lives.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. So, I'm sorry, you gonna say something, Elise?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so again, so just hearing all of that, right? Just when it comes to the whole compatibility thing and finding a wife and all of these things, like that still doesn't change the fact that there are challenges, right? And I know for us, that first year was just ghetto. I'm just gonna be honest. And so when I just think about what it's like just really joining together two different worlds, how has that process been for y'all?
Mm. You want to go? You want to go?
You go. Go ahead.
When you say joining together, and when I think about like early on,
Mm-hmm.
um, one thing about us too, like we just, y'all know this, like we really value like just being, being real, being authentic, right? And if we're gonna be honest on this thing, in those early years, I think one of the biggest challenges, I say early, we still in our early years, you know what I'm saying? But y'all know those year one,
Mm-hmm.
3, in those early years, I think one of the biggest challenges definitely were around sexual intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And reason being is because like I really was excited to come into marriage on that tip, just being honest. And we realized early on that our experiences up to that point were different, which impacted our marriage. Kart was even, and I'll let him share on that, but he even shared certain aspects with his own struggle or habits that he realized played a part in our marriage in a way that he didn't expect. And so I think our even dating relationship experience previously it impacted our coming together as one in a way that I don't think we really considered when it comes to backgrounds. I'll let you elaborate on that.
Yeah. So the main thing, I became sexually active at a very very early age, and I also I would say, um, yeah, there was a porn habit. I was trying to use the right words, and the reason I was trying to use the right words is because you're never so far removed from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like so yeah, so like there was a porn habit that I dealt with that I didn't realize until like that affected our sex life. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? In a way that I didn't realize it until like, I think the way I said to Elise, like it almost like I had to hit a switch, like a switch, like had to click, and it was like although you were so sexually active at a young age for like a long time, and with your porn habit and all that kind of stuff, that it was like now that you're married,
Mm-hmm.
your sex life is no longer a fling. Like it's it's a spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like it, my whole trajectory around that, um, it changed. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? But the main thing was, which is another actually a good segue to like how I felt, uh, which came out through a lot of communication.
Mm.
And for me, one of the hardest things for me was to communicate. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And the reason being, now that we're talking about it, man, 9 times out of 10, the hardest thing for me to communicate because it was some stuff that I had shame about. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that I just didn't necessarily all the way want to be exposed about me. But as I started to communicate a lot more with her, and that's another thing. Like it was so it was so unorthodox to not
Mm.
be judged
Mm.
Mm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
for those things. You know what I'm saying? But when we got to the point where we started to talk and deal with those things, like the fact that Elise, she went like, "Oh, hell no," you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
The fact that she was that wasn't it, but it was like, man, like we in this together, we're gonna walk this journey together. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Man.
um, man, that made a
And that
difference.
was the highest
You
level of
know?
intimacy. Like he said, like
Yeah.
realizing that there was something that was trying to produce shame with him. And we know
Hmm.
shame
Mhm.
on separation,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Was able to open up and be like that was our highest level of intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
able to stand there naked in a sense, right? Unashamed, like this is where I'm at.
Hmm.
And to know that he felt embraced in that moment, like that literally just sent us on a different path of healing, you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
of oneness, like you said, of switching that gear. It's not just sex, like this is a worship experience.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
And
Woo!
switching that switch,
Yep.
but just being able to have that conversation was a game changer, like I said, and just a whole nother level of intimacy.
Yep.
Man, as you were speaking, I couldn't help but to reflect on one of our struggles um, that kind of is literally in that same vein. Um, I was, for lack of better words, hypersexualized
Mm.
uh, before we got together.
Hmm.
So, transparent moment. I was a virgin till senior high school, and then senior high school did the do, and then it was basically downhill from there. And then to add on to that, I was gifted in singing, and then some would say I had the pick of the litter, right? And so you couple that with being 11 years old and being shown pornography,
Yep.
um, and you couple that with being able to get it when you want to,
Yep.
from whoever you want to, basically. And then you bring it into being being in the sanctity of marriage
Mm.
with all those demons and soul ties that you had from your past.
Mm.
Um, Pornography definitely was a hindrance in our marriage.
Yeah.
I would try to justify it as well. I'm not physically with nobody else, but the eye gate,
Hmm.
the window to the soul,
Yep.
was still being tied to those images,
Yeah.
and it was affecting the way I was connecting with my wife,
Hmm.
the one who God ordained to be my bed woman,
Yep.
the one who He set for me to worship with.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
I can know.
Um, so man, I definitely feel that, and I think just by you saying that, I think it just freed a lot of people
Yeah.
to go ahead and say that, man, it's not just your struggle, it's not just my struggle, it is a struggle. And I think men, traditionally in our context, work hard to try to keep our sons from being homosexual,
Mm.
that they turned around and made them hypersexual.
Yep.
Mm.
Wow.
Um, Instead of them, teaching them the right way to handle
Yeah.
situations, or teaching them, they wanted to make sure they had as much exposure to the opposite sex,
Mm. Yeah.
which really is punishable by jail time if you think about it.
No.
Um,
Yes.
but man, I don't believe it's just me and you, Cart. I think a lot of our young boys and young men were exposed to that. Um, trying to keep them from homosexuality, but it ended up creating a whole different monster.
Yep. It was exposed to me as a joke.
Mm.
It was exposed to me as a joke. And I had to sit down with myself and track that down. Like I had to track it down. Like, man, where did this come from? Where did it start? And how did it get here? And
Man.
when I noticed that, when I got to the point and I noticed that like it was exposed to me as a joke, I was like, man, wait a minute. I didn't even bargain for this.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even bargain for this. So I'm dealing with something that wasn't even mine to begin with.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and at that moment, it's like, man, nah. It's like, first of all, man, even now, like, even to this day, it's like, man, I am like seeking therapy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, man, wait a minute. Man, it's a lot of, like, I mean, I think we could go going down a whole nother trail, but like, man, it's a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying, in my life that that leads me to high. Well, that by the grace of God, like it didn't affect me to a certain place of who I am today, but it still hadn't been dealt with right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Still some residue.
Yeah, it's still some residue there,
man.
So, but yeah, man. But it's like, man. But that moment that I sit down, I was like, man, wait a minute. I didn't even I didn't even ask for this to begin with. No, I don't own this, and it don't own me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, so I think that alone was my beginning to become free from a porn habit.
Man, thank you for your transparency, bro. Yeah. Promise you just set folks free, man.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And it's just something, Kart, that you said that really resonated with me, that you were able to share openly and not be judged. And I've experienced that, oh my God, at least through so many conversations we have had. I just really appreciate what it's like to be able to cultivate a space,
safe space,
where you feel brave enough to share. And so I would like for either of you to just speak to that, because something I noticed that has been a challenge for me in the past, and I don't know if this is something that I haven't heard you say anything about it recently, but sometimes it's easy to become a conversation bully. And essentially what I'm saying is, when someone is trying to talk or get their point across, it's like you cutting them off and you really not giving them a chance to really speak freely, right? And so that's something we have been, working through, even till, like I said, well, I haven't heard you say anything about it recently, but I know it was really prevalent in the beginning. I told you that first year was ghetto, okay? So I would just like for y'all to speak to that, like what it has been like to really cultivate a space where you do feel free and safe and brave enough to communicate, knowing that you won't be judged. Because I believe that communication is so important in relationships. It's also a big reason why people struggle so much, because they don't know how to communicate effectively.
Yeah. It was, well, you said the word. The word is freeing. It was very freeing. And Elyse, she's the talker. She's the like, just is. But the way that it was for me, I was shut down, so I wouldn't talk at all. And because of that, I think she noticed when I started to be more vocal, she wasn't that conversation bully. So, and that was good. And I feel like, and I feel like I know that I'm still on a journey of learning how to communicate. You know what I'm saying? Openly. I'm on a journey of learning that how to be more vulnerable. So yeah, it's like you said, it's definitely freeing though, Amber. Yeah, that's the best way I can look at it.
I think I definitely had to learn though to listen more and talk less. I'm grateful that I, to this day, still have an amazing example of marriage with my parents. And that was one thing I remember, a piece of advice my mom gave me, because my dad is similar. Like, he doesn't talk as near as much as my mom does. So definitely have that in common. And that was one thing she was really encouraging me to do. Like, people never open up more by being pressured or bullied.
Yeah.
That only makes them shut down more. And what's so interesting, I know I mentioned earlier, my line of work, when it comes to being a parenting coach. And if anybody who knows me or follows me knows that I'm in love with the concept of gentle and conscious parenting. And one thing I say is that I'm not just growing to be a more conscious parenting. Being a conscious parenting makes me a more conscious wife also. I can't be treating my kids with respect, you know what I'm saying, and honoring their voice and their autonomy and all it is, but then having an attitude with my husband because he don't want to speak. I gotta show him baby, it starts with him, right? And so understanding that, and I had to literally learn how to, and that's one thing I tell parents, like, kids don't need a lecture. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be understood. They want to feel valued. I have to do that same thing with my husband. And so when he began to open up, I didn't want to, I didn't want to say anything to make him shut back down. I had to say, okay, Elyse, listen more, talk less.
Like, see that? That's why I won't say nothing to you now.
You know what I'm saying? And so that was definitely, I feel like that is definitely foundational, like 101 when it comes to creating a safe space where people feel brave enough to share, is where they are being heard. Feel like they're being heard. Everything does not require an opinion. Everything does not require feedback. Everything, like, literally just learning how to listen. And I had to learn it because, like you said, I have always been the talker. But definitely had to learn how to listen to help cultivate that space.
Man, that's beautiful.
So in the vein of learning, right? Both of y'all named that y'all have learned so much in this 7-year journey of marriage. I'm curious to know, what have y'all learned from each other since y'all have been married?
I would definitely say several things, but if I had to pick one, I shared this recently in a live that we did, and it was just this reality that, like, I have always been very driven, just in life when it comes to goals and accomplishments, and things I want to do. And one thing Kart has taught me, just by being in close proximity and being connected with him, and also him checking me sometimes, is that, and I knew this coming into marriage, I could also be very stubborn. Like, I knew that. I was very aware of this. But one thing that he has taught me is that, like, it's okay to be stubborn about my goals, but I can be flexible how I get there. Like, and that has really, really brought me out of some areas where I had a fixed mindset and didn't realize it, and pushed me into a growth mindset when it comes to being open and flexible and more, and that's really it, the word flexible, when it comes to things that I'm aiming for, things that I desire, things that I think I know, like, just to be open. Because again, I could be stubborn about where I'm going. That's okay. Be stubborn about those goals, but at least be flexible about how you get there. That has just really made me, I feel like, more flexible just all around, not just as a wife, but as a parent, even in this entrepreneurial journey. And so that's definitely something that he continues to teach me, that I'm so grateful for, because it's literally what has also propelled me into this life of ease, knowing that I can literally and flow, and not be so rigid with everything.
That's good. I think my response to that would be, it's what it says, more than one way to skin a cat. But I'm speaking to that from a perspective of being a parent. And when I talk about that, I grew up in a home where, well, I ain't gonna say in a home. Well, no, I will say that it was certain things, not always, and it wasn't just you know what I'm saying. It wasn't just hardcore, but like, kids, a child stay in a child's place. Kids are to be listening, are to listen, not to be heard. You know what I'm saying. Those type of things. So with this, I've learned a lot as far as just man, just different ways on how to steward our children and how to parent our children uh and I guess kind of like she said, like how to love on my wife in front of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And um has been a big thing. So I think that but yeah, the parenting journey is a beautiful journey that we're on. Um a- and it is a journey, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mm.
when I say
Preach.
I mean,
Mhm.
I think like you just said though, you know what I'm saying? Like we still navigating, like we
Mhm.
have a destination, but we navigating so many different avenues on how to uh get to our destination. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? With our parenting journey. So it's an ongoing thing, but that's one of the main things that like we just yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. You mentioned just loving your wife in front of your kids. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that's the foundation of of what really needs to happen. When I first started ministry, older pastor told me that my marriage is my first ministry.
Right.
So many pastors running to the hospital for folk, doing baseball games and stuff, and everybody, but they marriage in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
You loving everybody but your wife.
Yep.
The church is Christ's bride, not yours.
Right.
Right.
And so it's a shame to love everybody but the one you're supposed to be loving.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, how are you guys intentional about depositing into each other's love bank? How are you guys intentional about making sure that your partner, your spouse, feels loved?
That's it.
Man, I think what one night so we're now in a place, well, I mean, because I think we're just getting back to a certain place in our marriage after
COVID.
after COVID. So that that did something that did something to the point where we weren't able to do our date nights. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
we weren't able to do our date nights. We weren't able to get time alone the way that we did
We could take the kids somewhere.
when we, yeah, like we could
Yeah.
take the kids, let the kids go there, and then we go out and we do this. And in the midst, and take into consideration, in the midst of the pandemic, that's when KJ came along. So we're in a pandemic, but now we're
Just had a
going into
baby.
a whole nother phase of
Mhm.
parenting in the
Mhm.
same time. So
Mhm.
now we kind of like last weekend for our anniversary. Man, we had such a good time together. We got a chance to get away and let the kids go be with their grandparents, and we got a chance to get away and we were like kids again almost. You know what I'm saying? Like we were when we first got married. Uh, but we're now trying to get back to the place where we can start back making those intentional deposits. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just
Mhm.
us. It's like at first we're like, all right, baby, this is what we're gonna do. When we get these kids to bed, now we're gonna go in here watch this movie and we're gonna spend some time together. And by the time we get good into the movie, if we ain't fell asleep first,
Mhm.
baby done jumped in the middle of the bed with us. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm.
just kind of navigating it. You know what I'm saying? That type of change. So
And that's significant because quality time is big for both of us.
yep.
Like we both feel like our love bank is, getting
Mhm.
deposits with that quality time. So that's why that's a huge thing. Like saying we can do that. We can spend time together, in the house. But anyone with kids know that change the dynamic, right? And so
Mhm.
that's why that's a huge thing. But I'll say on the day to day, when it comes to
Mhm.
just being intentional, I know. So love language, acts of service is one of his, and so it's one of his love languages. So I try to be intentional with just like little things. Like just the other day, I was so tired. I had cooked dinner and I sat down And everybody was sitting at the table. I said, ain't nobody gonna make that plate. Like y'all waiting on me. And when he kind of chuckled, he got up, he made everybody play. He said, he said, I apologize. He said, I just realized that you always make our play. So he said, we're not depending on you to do it. We appreciate when you do it. But I was so tired that I was like, ain't nobody gonna make that play. Y'all want me to do it. But I realized that I was so used to doing it because that's one of his love languages. So I try to be into that day. It wouldn't happen that day. I was over it. But typically, it's those small ways of trying to do those little, acts of service. I know that's one way to fill his love tank.
Yeah, we was all sitting at the table just having a conversation. Everybody just sitting there talking. Ain't nobody got no food yet.
Like, nobody gonna fix their plate.
Ain't nobody gonna fix their food. I'm like, oh, my
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. So this conversation has been dope. Really got more than I even expected. You guys have blessed us tonight. And man, we can't thank you enough for just joining us and being willing to carve out a block of time for us. One last thing that we always want to ask is, what is a piece of advice that you would give maybe to individuals who are dating, who desire marriage? If you could summarize all the lessons you've learned, if you could summarize all the hard lessons you had to learn, or even the wisdom that you gained from other people, what would be the lesson you would teach somebody that is looking to get married?
That's a really good question. And I'll be honest, the first thing came to mind. I don't know if it will be a lesson, but I hope it answers your question. Okay, I'm not sure if this will be a lesson, but it is an experience that I feel like is worth sharing. And so when it comes to people who are dating, my greatest piece of advice is something I feel like is a little uncommon, and I hate it is. I feel like it shouldn't be unpopular. But one thing that we did when we were dating and knew that we were considering marriage, we did marriage counseling before getting engaged. And I feel like that is so, it doesn't make sense why marriage counsel, it's the norm for that to happen once somebody is engaged. And I think that was just a beautiful thing, because one, you got to realize when you're in counseling, one thing, so marriage counseling is like this intent, like I am serious about you, right? I love you. I want to be with you. Therapy, those sessions allow for you to really dig a little deeper and potentially discover red flags. And one thing I have learned about red flags, they are not stop signs. They are yield signs. They are not stop signs. Because what happens is if we get engaged, it's this huge commitment now, right? All these congratulations, everybody asking when the date, can I come to the wedding? Can I be the flag? It's all these expectations. We are engaged and have made the Facebook post. And so then you go to counseling, now you saw these red flags, but now you feel like there's no out, right? Now you feel wrong to walk away. But if you are seriously someone, why not go to marriage counseling then to decide, okay, I see these red flags. These are yield signs. Do I want to continue with this person? Is this person committed to working on these red flags? Or do I want to turn around and take out all this pressure from the outside world? And so that's my piece of advice. If you are seriously dating somebody, go ahead and go to counseling. Why not? What is there to look at? That is that investment potential future, right? Why not? And so I'm so grateful that that's the decision that we made. We were able to really, have some of the tough conversations early on to see, okay, do we want to move forward with this? And so that'll be my piece of advice.
Yeah, say yourself the embarrassment.
Yeah, that's so good. That is so good.
Say yourself the embarrassment. I mean, it's way more embarrassing to say we was engaged and we're not getting married now. Then we was in a relationship and we decided that it didn't work. Right. Say yourself embarrassment.
Doc, it's way easier to build a house from the ground up to the specs you need it to be than the remodel.
Come on.
All right.
Woo, I said something just then. See,
Say it slow.
see,
You say it
I said I need to say it one more time because I think somebody missed it. I said it's easier to build the house the way you want it on the front end
slow. Mm-hmm.
than to have to go in and remodel on the back end.
Right.
Mm.
Yep.
We got couples counseling. Before we were see a lot of folks wait till they married to get counseling.
Help
Yeah.
somebody.
You trying to stop a leak with duct tape at that point.
Yeah.
When you
Because
really should have got the right pipes in the house first.
yeah, you already made the decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pipe is already.
Come to the altar.
But now that's real. That premarital counseling like that, yeah, that was real. And let me just say this while we're on the topic. I think it's important now too that we're talking about counseling and therapy. It doesn't mean there's a problem.
Nah.
It doesn't mean there's a problem. It's an opportunity to grow in more awareness, an opportunity to grow in more understanding. And like I said, if nothing else, to get more information, to gather more data, to see if this is the person that you want to move forward with. And so, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Cool.
I think the way that I would say it, man, it's kind of interesting because my answer to this is normally one thing, but I think what come to mind is what my father-in-law talked to me about when I told him that I want to marry his daughter. When I told him he's a retired military, and he looked at me and he said, he said, when you're in the military, he said, he said, everybody, you're on the base or whatever. It's easy for a guy to look at you and say, I got your back. Whatever you need, whenever we together, man, you can always depend on me. But when you get into that comeback situation, you realize he's really there for you. So when you are looking at marriage, you really need to look at who really got your back. I mean, because the flip side about it is another thing is what happens is after so long, your covenant is no longer with your wife. Your covenant is with God. Because like life and even like now, I mean, don't get it twisted. Man, my wife is still fine. She's bad. But the flip side, man, as years goes on, man, people change. And it's not so much of a physical change, it's mental changes and all that type of stuff. But when times get hard,
preach, man.
Who really are you really gonna still be there?
Preach, man.
So my thing would be do an assessment, do pre-marital counseling, whatever counseling, and man, and like go that route. But you said one, but I think it's still like important for me to say like what I always say.
Yeah.
Man, for the believers that's watching this, if you really want to know what it means when the Bible say die to yourself daily, you're going to find out when you get married.
Sow a seed. This is your opportunity. This is a part of the podcast. Everybody can participate. Sow a seed. Say that again, man.
Man, when the scripture talk about dying to yourself daily, you would really understand what it really looks like when you get married.
Dying to yourself daily.
Daily. Because your desires are no longer your desires. My desires are no longer my desires. My desires belong to Elyse. Elyse's desires belong to me. So everything that I desire to have, everything I want is hers to carry. And everything that she desires is for me to fulfill. It's
husbands, love your wives.
Love your wife.
As Christ loved the church.
Yeah.
How did he show his love? He died.
He died.
I heard the Baptist preacher say, "Didn't he die?
Okay, did he die?
Didn't he die?" Hallelujah.
Yeah,
He died, bro.
he died. Yep.
And I think if you go into marriage thinking you ain't gonna die,
Mm.
it's the wrong place for you, bud.
And if you going to marriage ain't trying to die, it's the wrong
If
place.
you ain't
for
trying to die, it's sacrifice daily.
Yes.
man,
It's sacrifice daily.
look,
But it's
I
beautiful.
want to see that. I want to see that flesh laid down because when the flesh laid down, that's when he rose up. Come on,
Boy, you about to make me run. Cue the
Yeah.
click track.
Cue the quick track. Yeah. So I mean, what's real about like,
Yeah.
if that flesh ain't dead, now you ain't with it.
Mm.
That's beautiful.
And that's important to name, right? I know people hear all the time how marriage is work, and I know we all can attest to it. But marriage also works. It works, and it's beautiful, and it's fun. They made me think of one of our friends, her grandmother. She has passed on now, but that was a piece of advice she gave when she found out we were engaged. She said, "Marriage is not to be taken lightly, but it's important to make it light." And that has run all these years. It's like, no, you better take that commitment, that covenant serious. Like, it is not to be taken lightly, but it's important to also make it light. And I see that two ways: and make it light and have fun, and also reflect the image of God. Make it light. Make it light. So that's been a joy. That's what we're gonna have some fun. Y'all know we gonna laugh. It also works, and so yeah.
Yes, thank y'all so much.
Yeah.
This was so good. We
Thank
appreciate y'all. Man, thank y'all for saying yes, because y'all could have told us no.
But it was a yes with pleasure. Thank y'all for having us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Before we leave, because Elyse, Kart, I know both of y'all out here doing big things. Tell the people where they can find y'all, how they can keep up with the Joneses, huh?
Yeah.
Talk to us.
We said keeping up with the Joneses. Follow us as we follow Christ. Amen.
Kart Jones, who Kart Jones?
That's it.
On Instagram.
I
Follow
like
me on
that.
Instagram, Kart Jones, who Kart Jones. On Facebook, Kart Jones. Look me up.
Yes, and Elyse Jones on Facebook, Elyse Jones Official, where you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Also, website www.parentingfortheculture.com.
Hallelujah.
Thank
Hallelujah.
y'all so much.
Thank y'all. Listen, we love y'all, man.
Man, I love y'all too. Hey, thank y'all for having us. Like, for real, we don't take this lightly at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Listen, y'all, to the next time when you love on purpose,
You live in purpose.
we'll see you.